What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Overlanding Now. And in this video, we are going to be going over the 80/20 aluminum extrusion build that we are in the process of completing for our brand new Power Wagon. This whole setup has been taken apart 3 times, so I think I have enough information now to explain to you how I did it and why I did what I did. I'll also show you fasteners and some other tools that I've used to kind of make this work. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Nilight Premium Off-Road Lights for coming on board and being a sponsor of the channel. I will put the link to their Nixem Series Pro lights in the description. I will be also installing those lights on each one of the vehicles, the Outback Wilderness as well as the Power Wagon this weekend. Those videos will come soon and I'll be able to show you a comparison against Nilight as well as some other lighting companies. But what I want to do is I want to hop into this. I want to walk you through what I did, my thought process. Any questions or concerns, comments, please put those in the comments section. I want to have some other people with input on this. If you have a better idea, tell me, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this out with you. And I think I have a good idea, but I can always learn from somebody. So stay tuned. Let's get started. All right, so as you can tell, I got the garage open. It's a beautiful day today. So if you hear some background noise, I apologize. And real quick, before I move on, I want to mention the Upside app for cash back on gas. I'm not sponsored by them, but I think especially anybody driving a truck of this size should be getting cash back on their gas. And I'm going to put the link in the description to the Upside app. You can click it, sign up, go to gas stations, check in, and get money back on gas. I think that's important. But anyways, so what we're using is 80/20 extruded aluminum. Now, if you've never worked with this before, it's not extremely difficult, and it has 4 channels on either side. I'm going to try to buzz through this stuff, and then we'll get to the build, because I think this part is important if you've never done this before. Now, this specific 80/20 is actually 3/4 of an inch. I purchased it thinking it was 1 inch. And then I realized when I got the next batch of 80/20 that came in that this is actually 3/4, and the other stuff that I purchased the second time was the stuff I wanted the first time. But we're way too deep now, so I'm going to stick with this for this section, and then I'll probably use the 1 inch that I have laying over here for the rest of the build. Now, the 1 inch has a slot that is large enough for a 1/4 bolt. So you can slide your 1/4 bolt in there and use a nylock nut in order to fasten everything down. That is why I wanted to use the 1 inch. It's just a sturdier piece of aluminum. Although this stuff is extremely strong and there's not going to be a lot of weight or pressure on it, I wish I would have used that, because it would have made all of these joints that are fastened together much stronger and much tighter. Because the small fasteners that you get are these little button head screws, and although they tighten down pretty tight and you can wrench on them pretty good, they're not a nylock and a 1/4. It just doesn't, it doesn't compare. So all the stuff that we have here, I will put links in the description so you guys can kind of search and see what it is that you want to do. Now, this right here is a 20-gallon water tank that I purchased off Amazon. The link will be in the description. And I'm not sure if this is exactly where it's going to go. I haven't figured that out yet. But the frame was built to house this 20-gallon water tank. Now, this water will only be used for washing dishes, brushing your teeth, nothing. It will not be drinking water. We will also have a 7-gallon Yakima road shower on top of the truck. That will be for all of our showering, spraying stuff off, the things that we need to do. So there's 27 gallons. And then we will have a 7-gallon fresh water jug that will be for what we drink. Now, that's a large amount of water, but when you're traveling with 4 people for 5 and 6 days and not seeing any other people, you want to make sure that you're fully self-sufficient. And probably a little overkill, but I would rather be safe than sorry. So all of these little brackets and components are what you can find on Amazon. This is one type of corner fastener. This is another type of corner fastener. But you can also make your own corner fasteners by cutting your aluminum angle into 1 inch or 3/4 inch sections. and then you drill a hole through there, and you can use these as fasteners. This is much cheaper. I didn't learn about this until I was way too deep in purchasing other fasteners, but this is a much cheaper. It is more labor intensive, but it costs you less money. So I guess it just depends on your budget and how much you want to spend. You also have the inside corner brackets. So the inside corner brackets can just slide. This, of course, this is not going to work first time. You can just slide those in like that, and then the other side, you can slide them in, and they go all the way through. So I have these in several places where I didn't want a fastener to be seen. Not that this is going to be seen, but I wanted to learn kind of how to use them as well. And now you also have your nuts that fit inside the channel of the of the 80/20. So these ones slide in, but you have to have an open end to do it. So I could slide it in here because this end is open. I could not slide it in here because the end is closed off on either side. So let me get that out, and I'll show you the other type of roll-in T-nuts. So if you're completely closed off, but you still need to get one of your T-nuts in there, you can just slide that in there, and it rolls right in. So there's tons and tons of different fasteners. I will try to put links to everything that we used for this specific component or this specific box in the description, so you guys don't have to search around too much. Now, from the 20-gallon water tank, we needed a water pump. So what I purchased was a Kohler Flow water pressure pump. Now, this is way too much, and I did not realize how much it was until I got it here. This is a 5 gallons per minute, and that's a lot of water. This thing is going to be spitting water, so we're going to have to be very careful about how much that we use. Now, it needs 18 amps to run it. It's a max amps of 18. So we have a 20 amp fuse that we're going to be putting in, so we'll be able to control that on its own fuse. I'm not too concerned about it, but it is probably more than we need. Over here, like I said, I haven't decided. We will have two 100 amp hour lithium ion batteries that will be connected to a charge controller from the solar panel that's going to be connected to the iCamper, as well as a 1,000-watt inverter to run everything that we need, and a fuse box to keep everything safe in case we get some type of high voltage. Now, all of this will be in the cab area, or against the cab in the rear of the Power Wagon, and it will all be fastened through the metal truck bed with T-nuts. So that is kind of where I'm at right now. Now, this whole thing took me about 3 days because I put it together once and it was too tall. Then I took it apart, realized I didn't like how I did it when I took it apart, and then I put it all back together. So over the past 3 days, I've been constantly assembling and unassembling and reassembling, and the unassembling part is very, very quick. Putting it all back together does take time, but I want this to be something that I don't have to worry about, so I'm trying to take as much time as I can to work through the kinks. Now, what I want to do is I want to put this up in the truck to give you guys a better visual, and I'm going to hop in there too and kind of talk you through where everything's going to go, so you can visually see what we're going to do with this inside the truck. Now, if you are cutting your 80/20, wear glasses because metal shavings go everywhere, and you're going to need some type of miter saw. We have a DeWalt miter saw with a carbine blade. As long as you have a carbine blade, you can cut metal. The DeWalt versions are roughly 40 bucks. The Diablo versions are 80 or 90 bucks per blade. I am using a 12-inch saw, as well as I try to vacuum up as much as I can because the shavings just continue to pile up, and I have a bunch of shavings laying out by the truck right now just because I've cut so many pieces. So that's how you're going to cut it. I will put links in the description to all that stuff. I'm sure you probably have a miter saw if you're watching this. But what I want to do is hop in, show you kind of what we're looking at and how everything's going to be working, and give you guys a better visual. All right, so now that we're inside the bed of the truck, I don't know, the acoustics are probably really bad, but you're just going to have to work with me on this. So this entire piece, both boxes, is 52 inches long. Now that fits pretty well within the wheel well space, because there is that space between the cab and the wheel well, and the depth is 15 inches. So I was able to get everything situated back here. Now I'm not sure if you can see or not, but the metal is touching the metal truck bed. So one thing that I'm going to do, my wife always makes fun of me for this, double-sided Velcro is one thing that I use all the time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put double-sided Velcro strips underneath anywhere where there's metal-to-metal contact. And then I think I said T-nuts is what I'm going to use to fasten it down. I'm using riv nuts. So I will drill my holes for my riv nuts and fasten everything down on top of my double-sided Velcro. When you have metal on metal and you're on a bunch of bumpy roads, you're doing any type of off-roading, everything's moving around and getting slammed around, so you're going to have a lot of squeaking, and I wanted to eliminate that as much as I could. I think that will work really well. Now, if you can notice, this is the first portion. The drawer system and everything, the platform bed system will come after this in a separate video, but this was the most important thing to get dialed in because I need to know where everything's going to be. I need to know the height that I'm going to be making it. I'm trying to stay just below this lip on the smart cap so I can lay my plywood on top, cover that with rubber, and then we'll pretty much have a nice flat surface all the way back with a bunch of headroom for sleeping space. This would be roughly a king-size bed. The bed's 6'4" feet long, and it's, I think, 60-something inches wide, or close to that. So that's a huge interior sleeping space. If it's super bad out, we could all sleep in here if we needed to. Now, in terms of the pump, so I have PEX, and I was going to use PEX, but I just don't think it's necessary because I feel confident in this high pressure hose. This high pressure hose is rated up to 250 PSI. Max PSI from the pump is 75. So I am fine with this, and it's much easier to use because you don't have to do as many T's, and it's just easier to stretch, it's easier to work with, it flexes better than PEX does. PEX has to be like perfect right angles, and this is just going to make my life easier trying to get the water out. Now, down this middle section, because there will be two drawers, there's going to be an open space. So the batteries will be sitting in this space, or maybe they'll be over here. I haven't completely decided. But the batteries and all the wire will run right down this opening that I'm going to have headed out to the back. All of my switches will be placed in the back, along with my water lines will be ran down low all the way out the back of the truck. So I'll be able to have my fill, which will be up here on top. It has a little cap. I can fill the water up. I'll have a drain out the back, and I will also have the pressurized water coming out of the back as well. So everything will be sandwiched in between the two drawers. It'll be hidden from everybody's sight, and I'll be able to clean it up and make sure it's, you know, the electrical's high, the water's low, and keeping everything away from each other in the event that something would happen. So that's the concept that I'm working with right now. One thing that I should probably mention is this plywood is what I'm using. Now, this is like top choice premium plywood. I wasn't able to get Baltic birch at a local hardware store, so I just got this premium 7-ply plywood, and I'm gonna sand everything down. I'm going to make sure I seal it all, so if any water or anything gets on it, it'll roll right off and it won't cause any issues. So that's the plan. That's the plywood that I'm using. I got it at Lowe's, and it's just premium lumber. It's not that particle board plywood that they use for subflooring. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. This is going to be trial and error, and it's been trial and error so far. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I think I have a solid system here, and then all I need to do is configure everything back and make sure everything is nice and level. That way my platform bed is super solid, and I think I have it all down. I have been out here for days. My wife probably hates me because I'm just so consumed with trying to make this right, because I don't want to have to mess with it, and I want it to work for a long period of time. Now, the drawer system will be set up completely differently. I'm super excited to get into that. But on the next video, after I get this mounted, I get my batteries in, I get all the electrical situated kind of where I want it, I get the water lines ran, and I test everything, I'm going to start building the drawers, and then from the drawers I'll move to the platform, and I will try to document as much of that as I can. So if you're trying to do something like this, you have the opportunity to learn from my mistakes. So Appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for coming along for the video. If you have any questions, like I said earlier, please leave those in the comments and I will get to them as soon as I can. If you have any ideas that are way better than mine, please tell me. I have no problem being wrong and I want to make this as solid as I can. So thanks for watching and I'll see you guys on the next one.